This week on the RV podcast,
The chassis, the skin, the body, all of the things can become energized with up to 120 volts AC if there's a failure in the grounding system. And what that means is if you're standing on the dirt and you go touch the skin of your RV or the door handle or the hitch or your tow vehicle, that can actually cause your heart to go into fibrillation. At the very least, you can receive a good shock and get knocked out, but at the most, you can die from it.
It's a real danger you can't see. Hidden electrical faults and bad power connections at campgrounds. What the industry is doing to protect you.
in a stunning reversal, General Motors abruptly canceled a highly anticipated technological advancement, leaving a top RV manufacturer and dealers reeling.
Older temps mean mice are looking for a new zip code, and your RV is on the map. Protect your investment and your sanity before they move in. We'll tell you how.
All this plus the RV news of the week and your questions coming up in episode 571 of the RV podcast.
And hello, everybody. I'm Mike Wedland. This is my lifelong traveling companion and my bride, Jennifer. And it does feel like it's been lifelong.
What does that mean? A long time?
We have been on the road together, back now in our Michigan home now, from a 5,000-mile trip over the past, almost
9 weeks.
9 weeks that took us through 12 states. And it's nice to be back, but it's cold here in Michigan.
It's a little chilly. It's that time to winterize our Brinkley, and we're going to be celebrating Thanksgiving and Christmas with friends and family before hitting the road after the first of the year. And a lot of snow is expected this winter, so we're sure that winterization will be needed during our downtime.
We'll get a little taste of the snow, and then we take off in January. We get our travels for 2026. We'll be telling you a lot more about them, but it always starts off with the Tampa RV show. That's the plan right now. It's nice to be back in the studio. I'll say that.
It is nice to be here.
Yeah. We're going to start off with our RV conversation of the week.
Now, have you ever heard of hot skin? Now, don't think about the first thing that pops into your head. We're talking.
Get your minds out of the gutter here.
We're talking about a serious electrical safety hazard where the RV's metal exterior, metal frame, or other metal components become electrified with dangerous voltage.
It happens in a lot of campgrounds all across the country, older campgrounds. And typically it's caused by an improper connection at the power pedestal. And you don't even know it. It can give you a serious shock when you touch your RV, hence hot skin.
And starting in 2026, the RV industry has been mandated to include a device to protect against this. But bad information, sensationalized reporting by those looking for clickbait and genuine confusion have left many RVers wondering what this means to them and more. Specifically, whether it's going to cost them.
And I help this. Okay, I'm sorry.
Many RVers are wondering what this means to them and specifically whether it's going to cost them.
To help us sort this out, we turn to our good friend Mike Sokol of RVelectricity.com. We've had Mike on the program many times before because nobody knows more about RV electricity than Mike Sokol. And as it turns out, Mike has been working on correcting this issue for years.
Mike, great to see you as always.
Good to see you, other Mike. How are you?
Yes, I'm well, but I'm confused, as I think a lot of people are with this thing. Maybe the best place for us to do is for you to describe the problem that this new rule is trying to prevent, what it means to us as RVers, and start with what the heck is hot skin?
What is hot skin?
Sounds like something that doesn't have to do anything to do with the RV industry.
Oh, I know. The hot skin is the one that the industry, RV industry is the only one that uses a term hot skin. Normally it would be something like a contact voltage or a step voltage if you look at any of the other industries. But basically what happens is an RV, the chassis, the skin, the body, all of the things can become energized with up to 120 volts AC if there's a failure in the grounding system. And what that means is if you're standing on the dirt and the dirt is damp and you go touch the skin of your RV or the door handle or the hitch or your tow vehicle, you can get a fault current pass through you, and that can actually cause your heart to go into fibrillation. At the very least, you can receive a good shock and get knocked out, but at the most, you can die from it.
Does Does this happen?
It happens all the time. Yeah, I've done tons of reporting on it. Just and briefly in the United States, mostly it's contractors that die from it. Roughly 1,000 people a year do. Mostly roofers because they're climbing around on a roof with an aluminum ladder. So here's a good hint. If you have a ladder that you use to get up on the side of your RV, make sure you get a fiberglass one, because if you accidentally get it tangled with power wires, well, it's real bad. But yeah, there's at least several a year that RVers that die from it that I know of, because I get contacted by the various sheriff departments and stuff to ask, and they say, what is this hot skin thing?
I have felt, I don't want to say slight shock
Yeah.
occasionally on stuff. And I guess that's just not a bad grounding.
It's not a bad one. There's just a matter of degree. And it has to do with two things. First off, how much fault current is available behind it. Sometimes it's a little leakage currents inside the RV. Sometimes it's a dead short circuit. And then a wire that's been chafed through, or a nail driven through a wire, which I've seen. And the other part is, how grounded are you? If you're in insulated shoes, you may not feel it at all. If you're in wet flip-flops, you're pretty grounded. And so that can be the worst condition.
These grounding monitors that they're all talking about. First of all, a lot of people they've got a Watchdog, or they got a Progressive or a Southern battery or power management system. Do those solve that problem? Do I have to worry about that if I got one of those?
Here's the thing. Okay, those work on a different principle. And so what they're basically just looking for, if you have an advanced EMS, electrical management system, it could be a Hughes Watchdog or a Southwire, SurgeGuard, or any of the other ones. What it's doing is it's just looking for a voltage on the ground wire, basically. But what it's not really determining is the ground itself. Is the ground wire sufficiently connected that will protect you?
Ground wire at the pedestal.
At the pedestal. See, there's supposed to be a connection from the chassis of your RV through the shore power cord, through the pedestal, all the way back to the main service panel, the place with all the big circuit breakers. It's supposed to connect to what they call the bonding point in there. And a lot of these other units can be fooled by just bad connections.
So what does this mean to me, who's been using a 50 amp Southwire connector that I put on the pedestal? Do I got to go get something new now?
No, you don't. Okay, so here's what's happening. Our RV industry has determined, and this went in the last 2023 code book, that they were going to be doing this in 2026. And so basically, this is going to be a new device that's mounted inside of all new RVs beginning late 2026. And they call this the grounding monitor interrupter. And so the three words are important here: grounding, because what it's doing, it's testing to make sure that your RV is grounded back to the service panel, not with a ground rod, but back to the service panel, which just happens to have a ground rod. And then the monitor means it monitors it constantly to looking for a break in the wiring, a loose screw, a busted dog bone adapter, or whatever. And then the interrupter it's got a big relay in there that can disconnect not only the main voltage, but it can also disconnect the ground wire, because it's possible for a hot ground to come in from an external source. And I've written about this extensively.
So the manufacturers are going to be mandated.
The RV manufacturers are mandated to install this in their RVs. There was some really incorrect press releases here in the last couple of months. And it appears to be because people were using AI to generate their press releases, which is like a bad idea.
AI.
Oh man, AI, I get you. And so the one that went out through one of the major outlets said that they were going to be installed in the pedestals. And now I think the numbers are something like 1.3 million pedestals in the United States, something like that. And of course, the campgrounds were up in arms. Oh, we can't do this. Of course, that was wrong. And then the next one, it just came out a week or so ago, said, oh, they're going to be ones installed in the RVs and in the pedestals. But of course, that's wrong. They're only going to be installed by the manufacturers in the new RVs. Now, there will be aftermarket units probably available next year sometime that you could add one to your RV, or maybe a plug-in unit, that kind of a thing. If you already have an EMS, that is some sort of an advanced surge protector, you're probably safe. You're probably just fine. But they're trying to make this more automatic so that everybody's got one. because not everybody has an EMS. Not everybody has a watchdog. Not everybody has a surge guard.
For campground owners, they don't have to worry about it because they're, other than the fact that they should always have a good system. But
Exactly right. And that's
Yeah.
the key. Up to this point, there's been very little amount of checking on campgrounds. And we've all seen the ones where they're damaged and loose and rusty and people feel shocks. And if you've ever been to a place and your EMS has gone off, guess what? If you go take a new RV and in 2026 that has this device in it, the GMI, and you plug into that, it will not allow power into your RV itself, and there's no bypass on it. You just can't
this
get
is
power.
a good deal, really.
It really is. I look at this as an evolution in protection because I'm a musician child of the 50s, believe it or not. And when I was playing out in bands in the 60s, we never had grounds on anything. We would accept getting shocked. In the late 60s, they started putting grounded outlets in things, right? And then after that, in the 70s, they started doing ground fault circuit interrupts, right? And then they've started doing arc fault circuit interrupts here in the last 10 years or so. All of these have gotten better, safer. This is the newest evolutionary thing in this, so that new RVs will automatically protect you, the human being, from being shot.
The new RVs, I think you said earlier on at the end of 26. So what about the ones being built that are model that are late? Like I just bought a new Brinkley, which is supposedly a 26.
It doesn't have, no. First off, there are no units available right now to be installed.
Chris,
Seriously, they're in UL for testing right now, and there's only prototypes. So there are no ones being installed in RVs currently. Probably not going to see anything until second quarter, and then it'll be required in third quarter. So sometime in June-ish, probably the book will say it's required. They'll have in the next 90 days to start installing them. And then certainly sometime before the end of the year, all new ones manufactured with a date stamp on it as of sometime in Q3. They're supposed to be deciding this in the next 3 weeks as the actual drop dead date on this thing. I hate to say drop dead, but
for people who have gone to the Hershey show or other show and bought a 26 model, it doesn't have it.
No, nothing has it until probably at least 6-8 months from now.
So what is the cost of this going to be, and who pays for it?
You do, obviously. Yeah, the manufacturer has to buy it. This is going to be integrated into your wiring system, so it's not going to be easy to remove. It's all part of all of that. The consumer always pays. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Campgrounds are not going to have to pay for this, except they're going to have to make sure that they maintain their pedestals and repair them and test them. And I'm coming up with kind of a testing methodology so they're not surprised whenever people start showing up on the 4th of July with units perhaps that have got GMIs in them, and they plug them in, they can't get any power. And they're going to be some upset customers.
Have they figured out a rough cost for these GMIs, what they're going to cost?
I don't know. I know what goes in them. It's probably going to be about equivalent to what an advanced surge protector is, because that's really what they are.
And an advanced surge protector, which
$300.
Yeah, $300. Yeah,
retail. Now, again, I don't know exactly what this is. I talked to the various code committees about this. I've tried to stay completely out of the loop, even though the manufacturers have wanted to send me test units. I didn't want to get into the prototyping stage on this because you touch it, you own it, as it were. But once they come out, then I'll go ahead. Once I know something about what they're actually going to cost, then I'll be able to discuss that. And I'll also be able to describe how these units operate. I know how they're supposed to operate. I've got a copy of the code that states what they're supposed to do.
None are available now.
Correct.
The 26. They will be end of year. So there's none in the current ones. Older RVs, people are hearing this and saying, well, I want some protection. What your advice to them is make sure you have a good EMS.
Get a good EMS, right? And always
EMS stands for
electrical management system. That was like the name for Kleenex. This was done, the original advanced surge protectors from Progressive Industries. They named it EMS. Everybody else calls it total electrical protection or whatever the heck it is, but EMS is the slang term for it.
And that's something that everybody should have. Now,
I recommend that. And also a non-contact voltage tester, which I've done a ton of this. They look like a pen that you hold up. I've got tons of articles on how to do this in videos. It works beautifully. You can get them most anywhere for $10 or $15. There are miswiring conditions at campgrounds and your garage where you plug in that can actually fool an EMS, and then it will not shut off power.
so when you walk in an RV dealer that sells these, or Camping World or Amazon, the prices are all over. Some of them start ridiculous, under $100. Tell everybody what to do about those that are under $100.
Okay, so here's the deal. I test this stuff. You know where I am right now. I'm
You're
in the FunkWorks lab
That's
on
right.
Funkstown Hill in Funkstown, just outside of Funkstown, Maryland. I really am.
This is where he lives.
This is where I live. This is right.
When you really was a Funkstown, Maryland.
There is a Funkstown, Maryland. So I have a test lab, and this was an old square dance studio attached to the back of my house. This is just all very storied kind of stuff. But the key is I get to test stuff. So I've tested a number of these to see how easy it is to blow them up. The problem is that $100 ones that you can get that are import ones, many of them will only accept one surge, and then they literally self-destruct. Whereas quality ones from the main manufacturers, but whether it's Hughes or Progressive or SurgeGuard, they'll take multiple hits. They're good to go. So this is about like getting the better quality one will survive all the crazy stuff without destructing.
All right. So, Mike, you've mentioned a couple of things like a tester, the stuff that you've written. Give us a way how everybody can get a hold and find out your stuff.
It's rvelectricity.com. And right on, there's a section. I did it because now it's got a really, really good library system in there. And you can just go down and scroll, and it'll show you, here's everything you want to know about hot skin. I probably have 30 or 40 articles on that.
For those of you listening to this as you're driving, don't worry. We'll put it in the show notes, and we'll put it in the description below for you YouTubers, and we'll put it on the screen, and I'll tattoo it on my arm so I don't forget it. And we recommend any questions you ever have about electricity.
I have done this forever. When I say forever, I've been chasing ground problems for 50 years, 50.
Last question for those who travel to Mexico and to Canada. Will this GMI that's going to be in these 26 models, will that work there?
Here's the thing. Canada is very good about grounding. They're very strict. They test things a lot. Many of the electricians I've talked to up there have confirmed that. You should be absolutely fine plugging your GMI equipped RV into a pedestal up in Canada. Mexico is a different story. I get lots of pictures of info. There's ungrounded pedestals, wires hanging over trees, a bunch of other stuff. And I get a lot of complaints about non-grounded. Now, if you plan on taking your RV to Mexico and it's one of the new late 2026 models that has this, you may be in trouble. I'm trying to figure out a workaround, but it's designed not to be able to be worked around is the trick. So you may be running on solar and a generator if you go to Mexico. Maybe, I don't know.
We should probably also point out to people who like to camp in more rustic campgrounds. I'm thinking like fairgrounds, places that sort of add on with wires and stuff. This is another reason why you need to have a good EMS system for you.
You do. Some of the worst wiring conditions I've seen are in state campgrounds.
Yeah, they're all outdated. They're all built.
They're out,
yeah.
right, and they don't go through a lot of formal. They don't have to buy land if they want to go expand the thing. They just take a bulldozer and just drive a road through, and then they tag on and they hook the stuff up. And the key here is a lot of these things are wired up by work campers. And I got to tell you, you really want to have a licensed electrician doing this so that they can test it properly. And sadly, it's not been really maintained very well over the last few decades. So
we are seeing in other parts of a lot of state parks that are up in their infrastructure, and that's good.
Getting better.
All right. Thanks, Mike, for the conversation of the week.
Are you tired of expensive campgrounds and crowded RV parks? What if we tell you there's a way to discover amazing overnight stays across the US and Canada for just $49 a year?
RV Overnights connects you with incredible hosts at farms, wineries, breweries, and unique roadside attractions that welcome RVers with open arms.
These aren't just parking spots, they're experiences. Many locations offer electric and water hookups, and you can often stay for multiple days. Picture yourself waking up in a vineyard in Napa, or parking beside a working farm in Montana, or discovering that quirky roadside museum you never knew existed. These are real small business owners who genuinely love meeting fellow travelers and sharing their slice of America.
We've been using RV Overnights this summer and have just been delighted with the places we've stayed, like a bison ranch where we got up close and personal with some bison and had a beautiful bison pasture to camp in. Planning your adventure with RV Overnights is incredibly easy. They have a great app and desktop website. You search for your route, book your stays, hit the road. And here is the best part. Our audience gets an exclusive 40% off that $49 annual membership. All you have to do is use the promo code RVLDEAL when you sign up. Don't miss out on this game-changing way to travel. Head to rvlifestyle.com/RV Overnights right now. And remember, use the promo code RVLDEAL and you'll save 40%.
RV News of the Week, and a surprising move. General Motors CEO Mary Barra announced on October 21st that the company is discontinuing production of the BrightDrop electric van.
Now, this comes as Detroit automakers seem to be pulling away a lot from their EV development. But this decision has sent shockwaves through the entire RV industry, particularly for one of its largest manufacturers, Coachman RV, a division of Forest River.
Coachman had closely tied its fortunes to this innovative vehicle, showcasing it as the RVEX at the recent Elkhart RV open house.
Now, the RVEX generated a lot of buzz. It was all over the RV press over the last month. Rave reviews for its innovative features, full paint exterior, impressive 275-mile range, and with a projected MSRP of around $150,000, it was actually affordable compared to most Class B vans. So both Coachman and its dealers had very high expectations for the RVEX's success. They noted its unique position in the market.
Its appeal was strong enough for RV business to name it a finalist for RV of the Year. But GM has blindsided the RV industry and validates the concerns of those who believe the EV market, especially for large, specialized vehicles like RVs, is developing slower than anticipated.
Now, this setback is likely going to slow the pace of electric RV development by months, certainly, perhaps years, as companies now search and test new chassis partners. The chassis is key to this, and you can't just make any chassis an EV vehicle. The most significant consequence is the immediate loss of what was the most viable long-range electric chassis available to the RV industry. Now, there are some other auto companies who are working on EVs that could be RVs, the Ford E-Transit, the Ram ProMaster EV, but currently both of those have significantly less range, closer to 150, 200 miles, and that is a much harder sell to RV enthusiasts who prioritize travel distance.
Now, Coachman RV must quickly pivot as the platform for its highly anticipated electric models is no longer available. So must dealers, including our friend Nick Schmidt of Sunshine State RVs in Gainesville, Florida, who had high hopes for the RVEX.
Nick joins us now to put this all into perspective.
You guys were blindsided by this whole deal, it looks like.
Absolutely correct, Mike. Blindsided. When we got up to open house in Elkhart a month ago, probably right out about a month ago, we got there. It was the very first thing that we went and saw, and we just absolutely fell in love with it. And we were like, man, this is the electric RV that people have been waiting for. This is what the market has been wanting. It's not something that can only go 100 miles and it's the bare bones inside, which I've seen those. Everyone's pitched me all of those. It's not something that's $300,000 that looks like it's homemade. People have pitched me those too. There's they finally figured out a way to get 275 miles, a ton of lithium that can power everything, and a really nice looking, fully functioning RV on a good sized chassis that has a 275-mile range. And so we were excited. People were excited. We did a video on it. They asked us to be their exclusive dealer from Florida. We were going to take it to the Tampa Super Show and do this big unveiling. And then a week later, GM just pulls the rug and just says, we're done. So then we're like, okay, this might not be the end of the world, Mike. This might not be bad, because they had 800 of them sitting in a field somewhere. So we're like, hey, let's just go buy 300 or 400 of those, and let's keep this show on the road. Only 15 of them can actually work with the payload, the all-wheel drive, the battery range, with everything that you have to, because, Mike, you know how it is. It's so specific, the chassis you can build an RV on. It's not like you just go pick one and you just build an RV. It's so specific. And so they only have a little over a dozen of them out of those 800 that are sitting in a field that we can build the RV EX on. And so that is not looking good for the home team here.
So Coachman, they must have been really, Coachman, Forest River, these guys are pretty big players. They're quality.
Yeah.
How are they handling all this?
So that's where they were very disappointed that they found out the same time we did, same time you did, the same time all your listeners did. That's how they found out. Their rep didn't even know. The decision was made way up here, and then everyone just read the press release type thing. And so they're pretty determined to build something electric. They know that the industry needs it, that the customers want it, but there's a few non-negotiables. You got to be able to charge it anywhere. You got to be able to have good range. You got to have something that's reasonably priced. And I think Coachman hit all of those boxes. So they haven't given up. They're gonna buy a few of the ones that are there, and they're gonna keep prototyping it and getting it right, because they're pretty confident somebody's gonna come out with a chassis and makes one, but it's not all-wheel drive. It has 150 miles of range, and it doesn't have the payload. That the BrightDrop was the perfect chassis to do this, the absolute perfect chassis.
So it certainly is a setback. You say that customers were interested in this. Everything we've seen, it's all the automotive makers, they're stopping their EV thing. Basically, they say nobody wants this stuff. The tax credits have ended, all that. But RVers are a different batch, I think, out there.
Yeah.
Do you sense that? But there's that non-negotiable about mileage. But do you think that these things really will sell? What about campgrounds? Are they going to have charging for them? Realistically, how far away are we from all this stuff?
So what was beautiful about this BrightDrop, just to talk about that, was that you could plug it into the 30 amp service or the 50 amp service, and it would have charged the chassis as well. So campgrounds are already set up for it. The response that we were getting, because everybody that was interested, as soon as we released it, I personally want to have a conversation with them. What do you like about it? What are you nervous about? Why now? Why this? And the thing is, they're like, my goal is never to drive more than 300 miles in a day anyways. And by the 300-mile mark, I want to be stopped. I want to be camping. I want to be enjoying something. And so I know that was always your thing. 300 miles at 3 p.m., you're done.
We just did it coming home from Florida.
So 275 miles is right around that 300-mile range. You get to where you're going, you charge up, you hang out, and then you do it again tomorrow. We had more interest than I anticipated. More people were calling. They were asking about it, wanting to know the details. And I think that there is an interest. I think there is a demand. I just think someone has to get that range, and they have to build it to where it's not, like I said, a homemade van that's $300,000. It's not just a little transit that can go 100 miles. It needs to have it. But truthfully, Mike, from what I've seen doing this little beta test that we did, from releasing a couple of YouTube videos, putting it out on the website, we got dozens and dozens of people saying, I want one. And obviously, you need more than dozens of people, but you also, without them even seeing it, they said they want one.
Obviously, this is a setback. It's going to take a while now to pull something like this together. I guess the only encouragement I would say for those who like EV is that, hey, it almost happened here. Almost. So happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Mike. Bye.
All right, time now for the social media buzz with Wendy Boyer.
Wendy Boyer reports on the hot issues most talked about this past week on social media and our RV lifestyle community group.
Hi, everybody. In our private RV lifestyle community, we are doing something new this month. We have a monthly theme, and the theme is Give Thanks, because it's November, and this is a great time to just reflect back on the year and be thankful. And let's face it, RVers have a lot to be thankful for, be it the wonderful places you've discovered, the friends you've made, the adventures you've had. I can't wait to see what is shared in our community. And you, if you haven't been a member in the community, you need to check it out. You can find us at community.rvlifestyle.com. And then over in our RV Lifestyle Facebook group, we have had a lot of posts this past week about mice. People are wanting to know how to keep mice from getting in their rig this year, or what to do if they have evidence, if you know what I mean, that there is a mouse inside their rig. Mark must have been reading a lot of these posts, and his question just cracked me up. It sounds like he's a new RVer, and he wrote, is the trailer not built to keep these critters out? And of course, no, it's not built to keep them out. So Mark, you need to take precautions. So I've read through all of these posts. There were a lot of them, and I've compiled some tips and want to share them in case they can help you. The first one is you need to seal all of the small holes in your RV, and there are plenty of them. Joshua wrote, the only guaranteed way is to climb under the RV and use wire mesh and expanding foam and plug and cover every and any hole. And Tina, she's somebody who's been camping for 16 years, never had a mouse, and her advice was make sure there is no hole they can sneak in. Check for holes around plumbing, plug anything you see. So plug those holes. Next, you need to remove the things that attract mice. Do you have food still in your rig? Get rid of it before you store it for any period of time. Do you have something that smells enticing to a mouse? Like, I don't know, maybe a scented soap that a mouse might think is food? Get rid of that. You don't want them being attracted to your rig by the smells. Then you need to get rid of linens. Many said it's cold out there and mice are looking for something warm to make a nest in. So if you have your rig with all of your sheets and your towels, your dishcloths, that could be a great nest for a mouse. So get it out of there or wrap it into something hard so that mice can't get to it. Next, after you've done all these things, put some mouse traps inside your rig. Just one more step, put some traps. And then on the outside of your rig, use something like peppermint oil or fresh cab as one more deterrent. They apparently don't like the smell of those two things, so that's one more deterrent to keep them from even wanting to come near. There was a big discussion about poison. Obviously, poison kills mice, but I think maybe more compelling is if the mice eat the poison, gets out of your rig, and then is eaten by something further up the food chain, be it a fox or someone's pet cat, there's going to be some unintended consequences there. There was also a big discussion on Irish Spring soap, fabric softener sheets, and mothballs. Some say they work great, but the consensus was you can't depend on that alone, especially Irish Spring soap. So to sum it all up, plug those holes, remove the scented items that attract them, get your linens into a safe container, still lay some mouse traps, and on the outside of your rig, try peppermint oil or fresh cab to deter them even more. And that's it for me this week. I'm Wendy Boyer, and I'll see you either in the RV Lifestyle community or Facebook group.
All right. Thank you so much, Wendy. Now we have a quick heads up for our fellow RV travelers. If you've been putting off getting warranty coverage, now it's time to get moving. Now, I'm sure you've noticed that everything is getting more expensive, and RV repairs are no exception.
A single breakdown, like a $60,000 engine or a 3,500 AC unit, can put a serious dent in your travel budget, which is exactly why we recommend wholesale warranties.
They have got you covered for those hefty repair costs, and they'll let you work with any licensed mechanic in the US or Canada, including mobile techs. And their stellar company service team makes the claims process really easy. So here's what you need to know. Starting January 1st, all RVs are considered one model year older, which means the pricing and eligibility for warranty protection will change.
So if you're locked in coverage now, you secure this year's lower rates and will be protected from next year's higher repair costs. Get a free personalized quote at wholesalewarranties.com/RV lifestyle with details in the description.
Make sure you protect your rig and your wallet before these New Year prices. And again, that's wholesalewarranties.com/RV lifestyle. Time now for the RV question of the week.
Now, this question is from Ray. Is it okay to carry fresh water in your RV tank when traveling?
Absolutely, yes. But like at everything in the RV industry, there are two schools of thought here. School of thought number one is that travel with an empty or nearly empty tank is the best idea. Water weighs about 8.3 pounds per gallon. So, depending on how big your tank is, a full tank can add some significant weight. Some RVers worry that bumps and potholes, when you have it all filled up like that, stress the brackets and whatever is holding up that tank, potentially causing it to break loose and fall out.
Has this actually happened? Yes, but very rarely. And when it does occur, it's usually due to a defect, improper installation, or a very old RV with worn out components.
So, this approach makes sense if your RV is already at or near its weight capacity to basically not load it up full. You'll always gain a few extra pounds in gear that you can bring around if your water tank isn't completely full. But you need to know your RV's total carrying capacity, and then you have to calculate how much weight you've added beyond the dry weight. If you pack a lot of gear, then cutting back on the water at 8.5 pounds per gallon is going to compensate a bit. That's school of thought one.
And now, school of thought number two, partial tanks are worse. But there are critics of partially filled freshwater tanks. They argue that traveling with quarter full or half full tanks means the water will be sloshing around, and this creates more stress on the tank and mounting system than a full tank would.
And again, if this is truly a problem, we think it happens extremely infrequently. It's very rare. And mostly it's going to happen on very old rigs or improperly secured systems. So what is the bottom line? Ask any RV question and you'll get multiple answers. People love to debate these topics. You need to decide what makes sense for your situation. Personally, we travel with a full tank without problems. And we also travel with just a few gallons sometimes. We know our RV is well made. And that includes the brackets and the straps holding the freshwater tank. And we know that as long as our system is all installed correctly and maintained, either approach is fine, full or partially full. It's up to you. And again, opinions are easy to find on this. They go all over the spectrum. But you ask our thoughts, and that's what our thoughts are. You have a question for us? Send them to us at mikeandjen@rvlifestyle.com. That's our private email address, and we love to get your questions. Mike and Jen, rvlifestyle.com. All right, that's it for this episode. Lots of news this week, and we'll be back next week with more.
Happy trails.